All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to go ahead and call the June 12, 2023 San Diego County Board of Supervisors special meeting of the Flood Control District and Home Supportive Services Public Authority, Sanitation District, the San Diego County Fire Protection District, and the County Successor Agency to order. As a reminder, according to the board rules and procedures, audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or anything that disrupts the proceedings. I'm going to ask the clerk to please confirm that we have quorum.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson. Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Vice Chair Lawson-Remer.
Here.
Chair Vargas.
Vargas here. The only item on the agenda for today's meeting is our budget hearing. And so I want to thank everyone who has come down here early today this morning to be part of this budget process. Today's hearing is another opportunity for members of the public to learn about the investments proposed for our fiscal 2023-2024 year, and we want to hear your feedback as we look at the budget priorities. The proposed $8.1 billion budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 focuses on addressing the biggest priorities for our county This budget makes it significant investments to address our homeless crisis, maintain critical services, support mental health services, address climate change, and increase staffing to support important programs and county operations, to name a few. As we look at where this county is headed for the future, I want to express my commitment to continue to make investments in services and programs with equity in mind. I want to thank all of you again for being so involved in this budget process, and I'm looking forward to hearing directly from all of you, especially community members and stakeholders, about your thoughts in the proposed budget. I'm going to hand it over to the clerk for some introductory comments, and then we're going to hear a presentation from the recommended operational plan from the Chief Financial Officer, Ebony Shelton. And then after that presentation, my colleagues may make any comments or ask any questions, and then we're going to go ahead and invite the public to provide their comments. So, clerk.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board. On May 4th, 2023, the Chief Administrative Officer's recommended operational plan for fiscal years 2023 through 25 was released. Today marks the beginning of the budget hearings for the board to receive oral public testimony on all areas of the budget. We have 20 requests to speak at this time, 11 in person and 9 requesting to speak by phone. I'll turn it over to Ebony Shelton for the presentation.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Chairwoman Vargas and members of the board. It's my honor and my pleasure to welcome everyone who's joined us this morning to be a part of the county's budget process. After kicking off our budget season last month with the release of the recommended budget and presentations from county departments, the county team has continued to engage the public to receive feedback with 2 community meetings and the official commencement of public hearings today, which provides continued opportunity for the public to weigh in. We are excited to bring forward a proposed $8.1 billion operational plan for fiscal year 2023-24. This reflects a 10% or $746 million increase and adds 490 positions, bringing the count of county staff up to 20,300. This growth reflects continued investment in the community and has been driven by our strategic values of integrity, equity, excellence, access, sustainability, and belonging, all with a focus on community engagement. We take pride in the fact that this budget reflects the highest priorities directed by the board and what community voices have told us matters the most. This includes increases in funding and staffing for safety net programs and more funding for people with behavioral health issues, including mental health and substance use disorder. Resources to build affordable housing and provide services and housing to help people who are experiencing homelessness, investments in equitable justice systems through alternatives to incarceration, and addresses climate change and takes environmental action. And finally, improves our communities through investments in key infrastructure such as the South County One Safe Place Family Justice Center, a new public health lab, and a new fire station in Jacumba. In the next few slides, I'd like to briefly summarize and highlight some of the programs and efforts that are included in this recommended budget. Our business groups propose to spend these funds in various ways, with the largest share of the $745 million in appropriation increase being utilized by the Health and Human Services Agency and our capital program. Over $600 million of the budget increase is concentrated in 4 key areas: mental health, homelessness and housing, our safety net, and our capital investments. Mental health and substance use treatment are areas of significant spending, and the county is increasing spending in these areas by nearly $100 million. To address the complex issue of homelessness and housing, this budget seeks to invest over $40 million through various programs, including the Innovative Housing Trust Fund. We're continuing to invest in our community by increasing our budget by over $200 million for safety net programs, promoting food security and nutrition to support micro businesses and more. We're also continuing to provide healthy and safe communities through our capital program, which proposes $250 million in new appropriations for projects. There's so much more that's in this budget, including justice reform and sustainability, and the majority of the funding increases that are supporting this budget growth are being covered by state and federal funding, but also the planned issuance of bonds to support our capital program. Next, I'll highlight some of the corresponding staffing changes. In total, the recommended budget includes over 20,300 staff years, which is an increase of 490 or 2.5% from the current year budget. Many of the staffing increases in the Health and Human Services Agency are investments in working families. The 354 recommended increase in staff years in the Health and Human Services Agency will address increased caseload and workload in safety net programs such as CalWorks, CalFresh, Medi-Cal, programs associated with economic impacts from the pandemic, and to bolster key priority areas for the county, including mental health, public health, seniors, children and families, and the implementation of the CARE Act. Staffing increases of 55 in the Land Use and Environment Group support healthy and safe communities, as well as sustainability through new and expanded park facilities, increased conservation, ongoing compliance with stormwater regulations, and via programs such as hazardous materials, beach and bay, flood control, and closed landfill. Proposed staffing increases of 40 in the Finance and General Government Group are to improve the delivery of county services overall and provide support and recognition of the growth in other county departments over the years. Additional staffing increases of 40 in the Public Safety Group are to address key board priorities and operational needs, including the county's second One Safe Place Family Justice Center in South County, staff to help analyze data related to overdoses, and additional staff in our medical examiner's office to address significant increases in caseload due in part to the fentanyl crisis. It also includes public defender staff in support of the CARE Act, among other priorities. With that, we'll shift our focus to general purpose revenues. General purpose revenues, or GPR, is the board's only source of discretionary revenue and is projected to increase by $149 million this year. You may recall that GPR is allocated annually to fund county services based on an analysis of available program revenues, federal or state service delivery obligations, and the priorities and strategic direction set by the board. GPR is highly dependent upon the assessed value of real estate, which has seen intense growth in recent years, but is showing signs of slowing. In the coming budget, we're recommending an assessed value growth assumption of 5%. The budget and the allocation of general purpose revenues was developed with significant consideration of the slowing economic environment and higher than normal levels of attrition. The budget preserves essential core services to the public while limiting expansion of discretionary new or existing programs and staffing. This budget continues the use of stabilization strategies to meet the essential capital infrastructure, labor, and pension costs as we prepare to manage through future volatility associated with current economic conditions and balance sheet constraints that are being driven by delays in FEMA reimbursement. In closing, I'd like to just end with information on the key dates for the rest of this budget cycle. Following today's hearing, we'll host another hearing for the public later this week on Thursday evening for those who can't participate with us here during business hours. And as a reminder, comments on the budget can be submitted electronically through the county's budget portal until hearings are concluded on June 21st at 5 p.m. I'll note that also the revised CAO recommended budget, which includes the CAO's change letter, will be released next Friday. And on Tuesday, June 27th, the board will deliberate and consider the adoption of the budget. Thank you for your time and attention. This concludes my presentation.
Chairwoman Vargas will now move to public comment.
No, sorry, so we'll do public comment and then we'll come back to my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. As I noted, we have 24 requests to speak this morning, 15 in person and 9 requesting to speak by phone. Any members of the public that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'll be calling you in groups of 5, so I'll ask you to please listen for your name. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Jay Morgner, Paul Aguirre, Sandra O'Rourke, Nathan Hilbig, and Pamela Brandy. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
Good morning, everyone. Jay Morgner, San Diego County resident since 1945, San Diego taxpayers since 1963. And my main input is to stop the madness. COVID fund excess allocation is over. We had a surplus in California last year, and our governor saw fit to use it to such an extent that now we have don't have a surplus, we have a negative deficit. And I think we just have to start toning it back and not thinking, well, we're going to increase 10% a year. It's not viable. We don't have enough county residents to be funding this year after year after year, especially when I'm sure a lot of us San Diegans are going to choose to leave the state of California with the taxes being what they are. We're seeing what's happening in Los Angeles and San Francisco, which is showing that. And yet we're seeing more homeless coming to San Diego, 22% increase last year. Why wouldn't they come? They hear, oh, hell, everything's free in San Diego, I'm going to go there. So we have to turn this around. The trouble is when these excess funds are gone, then you're going to have to start cutting back on services to us San Diegans, us taxpayers who fund your programs and such. And we all know typically government programs, if they don't work optimally, oh, we just haven't put enough money into it. Let's put more money into it next year. We have to stop thinking that way. We have to start realizing we have to budget and adhere to those budget guidelines and not go hog wild on our programs. And when I was reading your handout, it said equity-centered programs. Who are the arbitrators? Who are the people who are going to determine?
Thank you. Your time is up. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. I'm Sandra O'Rourke. Please play the first half of a video on Butterfield Trails Ranch in Valley Center. Thank you.
Has a hidden gem, Valley Center Boulevard, across from a major new development. It links to the Heritage Trail and is a beautiful park-like setting with huge oak trees, a beautiful pond, large open meadows, which would be a fantastic spot for people from Valley Center to visit, a quick way to interface with nature. Bring the kids for a picnic, take an easy horseback ride would be an amazing addition to Valley Center's resources for recreation. The town is developing and we're vastly underserved by parks per capita. This would be a way of addressing that. This property shows evidence of being used by indigenous peoples for millennia, enjoying nature for thousands of years. There's grinding holes in the rocks. This spot would be a chance to see nature. That's essentially the heart of Valley Center.
This place is magic. So I would be so brokenhearted if Valley Center turned it into one more housing development.
Most people who moved here wanted a rural setting, and we'd kind of like to keep it that way.
It's bordered by Moosa Creek, which is a major watershed. Starts at the foot of Paradise Mountain, goes out Woods Valley, and goes out eventually through Old Castle and Camino del Rey to join the San Luis Rey in Bonsall. So this also represents a wildlife corridor that allows native species to
Thank you.
feed.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you.
My name is Nathan Hilbig. If you could please get the second part queued up. We are here to advocate for the county to preserve the Butterfield Trails Ranch as a park for the community of Valley Center. If you could please play the second half. Thank you.
We could preserve this for forever.
I'd really like to see this become a park. It's going to provide property for people to come out from those houses specifically across the street, Park Circle. They've got no place to go. This would be outstanding for them to go out and tour. Anybody in the area could tour this and see what a great jewel it is.
One of the things that I really think is special about it is you don't see all of these native oak trees, big clusters like this anymore. We could incorporate more hiking trails through here that hikers, equestrians, maybe even mountain bikers can enjoy.
I think it was lovely that so many people didn't even know this was here. And this was the first time people have been on this property. I heard from others that they were just universally enthused for what they saw and appreciated the beauty of what's here.
The response today was fantastic. Everybody seemed to be very happy to visit here and agreed that this would make a great park for Valley Center. We are looking forward to working with the county and state in adding this additional beautiful preserve to our resources.
We very much appreciate your time and consideration to preserve this unique hidden jewel, if you will, that's within the county of San Diego, specifically within Valley Center. We think it's, especially in today's day and age, the importance of not only preserving open space, but open space that's accessible and able to be enjoyed for all ages and all accessibility. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So the next speaker is coming forward. I'd like to invite 5 additional speakers: Christopher Holton, Lynn Booth, Nate Woolman, Sarah Johnson, and Maria Cano.
Hi, I'm a member of the public. My name is Pamela Brandy. Thank you very much for your time, and thank God. I was encouraged to dust off a program that I had developed several years ago. It's called Positive Alliance for Motivation of Individual Through Livelihood and Achievement. It has basically, it will touch on most of the departments here. Basically, it's a program that stops and ends the bottomless money pit of the homeless citizens in our community. It is a work-based program. It basically, after several weeks, our homeless starts participating in taxes. They would participate always, the program actually lasts a year, and they would pay taxes the whole time. And after that, they have developed the skills in order to go into other departments because they have a year of work experience. In addition to that, it has the ability to pay for itself. From the moment it's enacted, the first day it's enacted, it starts saving the taxpayers money. In addition to that, within 3 years, it will be self-sufficient. Basically, let me see, I'm sorry, it's been a while since I presented programs. Sorry. It will utilize the departments that are already existing and provided support to those other areas where they are increasing budgets. Also, I had an opportunity to talk with the members of the public. I started with the homeless. The homeless citizens of our community were very excited about the program. They wanted to give me their numbers. They wanted to give me their locations. They wanted my phone number. They wanted my email. And that's because they wanted to participate in the program. However, I also touched base with the citizenry of the county. They, again, was very excited. They wanted to know.
Thank you.
Aw.
Next speaker, please.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. 2 minutes? That was quick.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Holton. I'm an investigator supervisor with the Medical Examiner's Office and a proud SDIU Local 221 union member. For context, we are 22 investigators who respond to all deaths in this county related to accident, suicide, homicides, or any death that is sudden and unexpected. We respond to all areas of the county, including the desert, border, and freeways. We are also responsible for identifying decedents and locating and notifying their next of kin, in addition to several other duties mandated by law. For a population of 3.3 million, we investigated 11,151 deaths in 2022. In comparison, Riverside County has a population of 2.3 million and investigated 11,428 deaths in 2022. They have a full staff of 37 investigators in comparison to our 22. On any given shift, an investigator must have 3 to 4 cases, which include driving to the scene, performing a thorough scene investigation and body examination, identifying the decedent, locating and notifying the next of kin, and writing a 2 to 3 page report for our pathologists. I'm here to ask for 2 new investigator positions. Right now, we typically have 2 investigators per shift, and this year so far, we've had 18 night shifts with only 1 investigator on duty, with, due to vacations, trainings, or sick call-outs. With no dispatch or call center, these investigators are covering the entire county from midnight to 5 a.m. completely alone with no support. We are using the $300 shift change differential almost on a weekly basis to cover investigators, and we are clocking a large amount of overtime. Upon the departure of our previous supervisor, we were shocked to discover all divisions in our office put in requests for new positions except for ours, despite the safety issues and despite being the only division to work 24 hours in a day. In summary, with 2 additional positions added, we will cut down on overtime in SCD. We will be post-certified this year, one of the only ME corners that are not, and will drastically reduce our training budget. An increase in staffing will have an overall positive effect on our investigators, reduce burnout, and give us more time to perform thorough investigations, which is a benefit to the families we serve.
Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please.
My name is Lynn Booth, and I'm here as just a lowly taxpayer. I've been talking with a lot of friends, family, neighbors. We're all concerned, most of whom could not be here today because they're busy at work paying taxes, they're watching our children, and we want to be sure that our essential services are not curtailed or cut because of the addition of new employees, programs, et cetera. Looking at this budget, I'm very concerned. It's too large. I see it's a 10% increase from last year, and I see on the website, quote, while the revenue supports the programs in the coming fiscal year, current economic uncertainty may impact future years. Exactly. We want to make sure this budget is sustainable. I've heard that just on the radio today that the housing prices are going down in San Francisco. Why? People are fed up with the situation up there with the homeless, the filth, and everything. What happened to, we love a clean San Diego. We're allowing the homelessness thing to get out of hand. I know you're trying, but I think the housing first model doesn't work. You're also planning to spend money on purchasing motels, and it amounts to over $300,000 a room in some cases. That's outrageous. Other long-term expenses are in the form of increased staff to almost 500 employees. That's one of the biggest expenditures in the budget. The pensions, the salaries, goes on and on. You can't cut that later on easily. And the fact that you're putting people who are under, who are illegally doing things into motel rooms, they can do it behind closed doors because there's no guidance, there's no oversight. The only criterion is the income level. So you put them in there. Recently, we had the 2 sex offenders taking advantage of an underage girl in the motel room. This cannot go on. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chair Vargas and Supervisors. My name is Nate Woolman, and I'm Vice President of SCIU Local 221. First, I'd like to thank you for recognizing the need for investment in our frontline services, particularly in the Behavioral Health Services and Health and Human Services Agency. The homelessness, mental health, and substance abuse crises all warrant serious attention in the budget, and we see that acknowledgement. However, while our priorities are certainly shifting in the right direction, there are still 3 key issues that we believe need addressing if we are to make these investments effective. First, the executive summary acknowledges that there are currently a large number of vacancies. It even goes so far as to say that the increase in positions we see are somewhat paid for by these vacancies, and that's on page 42. And what we've seen through data provided also is that even in positions where we have made progress on vacancies, turnover can be high. We need to do more to make these positions attractive to the type of dedicated public servants we need. Second, while some of the increases in mental health and also homelessness are substantial, they are still not matching the scale of the problem. For example, more people continue to fall into homelessness than we are able to house regularly. And the third item is, it is important to recognize that contracted services, by their very nature, are limited in what they can accomplish for our region. The only way we can make a significant progress is with a fully staffed and dedicated public service workforce. We at SEIU Local 221 look forward to continuing to make the County of San Diego a beautiful place to live and work, and we stand ready to continue providing quality public service and whatever input is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the remaining speakers in person: Monica Lynn, Natalia King, Dominique Rivera, Jessica Ruiz, and Claudette Magno. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Ready? Good morning, Chair Vargas and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Sarah Johnson, and I've been here hundreds of times over the years, so you probably already know me. I spent most of my time at Edgemoor Hospital, Distinct Park Nursing Facility. I've been a nurse for 24 years, been there 20. The nursing staff at Edgemoor have seen a drastic change in staff retention. This can be attributed to caregiver burnout and low pay. As seen on the news, nurses are starting to leave the profession in great numbers. The number one reason staff are leaving Edgemoor is the pay doesn't pay our bills or fairly compensate us for the work we do. It's very hard to attract new staff when they look at what the pay will be online. And we're losing experienced staff by the handful. They're going to other facilities, hospitals, wherever they can make more money. In an article written by the American Health Association on April 13th, 2023, it stated about 100,000 nurses left the workforce during the past 2 years due to stress, burnout, retirements, and another 610,388 reported an intent to leave by 2027. According to a study released by the National Council of State Boards of Nursing, the pandemic has stressed nurses to leave the workforce and expedited an intent to leave in the near future, which will become a greater crisis and threaten patient populations if solutions are not enacted immediately. And here's a quote from Christina Feist-Hellmeyer, RN. "Every nurse was drawn to nursing because of a desire to care, to serve, or to help. Please consider investing in the healthcare workers of San Diego County to continue to help us to help others." Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Maria Cano. I've been also here standing in front of you guys, and I also work at Edgemoor, and I've been there for 8 years. And also stand forward speaking in behalf of all my coworkers. Yes, we are being a skeleton for a couple of years, standing behind each other, trying to be strong. As we have seen a couple of our coworkers retire and not been able to be strong as much as possible due to shortage, not having enough staff to cover each other, not being able to take our vacation as we wish due to shortage, and others complaining that we don't have enough staff to take vacations, to call, even seen people say, "Oh, tomorrow I will not show up. I will just call in," which is not fair to the ones who are showing up. Why? Because when they request a day off, it's denied, which is not fair for the rest. But as we have seen others speak, well, I'll just change work due to other locations pay better than Edgemoor. Why? Because of the shortage of staff, to the shortage of pay. That's why we come forward to you guys, so you guys can help us out and support Edgemoor, as the county has always backed us up in other ways. So we stand here as you had always said, Edgemoor and the county stand together. The nursing has seen a lot of suffering lately due to the pandemic, and everybody's going through a hard time. So as the county has said, we need to come together as a unity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Monica Lin, and I live in San Diego County, District 1, and work for a food shed. We are a cooperative located in City Heights, sourcing fresh local produce from small farms who are dedicated to building an equitable and resilient local food supply chain. Last year, San Diego County invested $1 million of ARPA funds into a pilot produce prescription program. And with this funding, UCSD Center for Community Health Center created the Mas Fresco Plus program and contracted Foodshed Cooperative to source and deliver fresh local produce to more than 400 families facing food insecurity and diet-related health conditions. Each family received a bag of beautiful and nutritious produce twice a month for 12 months. The produce prescription program allowed Foodshed Cooperative to purchase $500,000 of seasonal fruits and vegetables from our network of small farms, which multiplied the board's ARPA investment by 37% in economic activity. Furthermore, Foodshed Cooperative has secured a $5 million federal contract over the next 5 years to incentivize our farmers to apply quantifiable farming practices that will mitigate climate change and build on-farm resilience to extreme weather events. If the produce prescription program continues, Foodshed will be able to add a 15% incentive to farms that move their crops through Mas Fresco Plus so that they can innovate their on-farm practices and help San Diego County meet our climate action plan goals. There are few programs like these that address sustainability, health equity, and accelerate our local economy all at the same time. So I urge you to continue to prioritize long-term investment in produce prescription and nutrition incentive programs like Mas Fresco Plus as an opportunity for San Diego County to lead in these critical areas.
Thank you. Next speaker,
you.
please.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Jessica Ruiz. I've been with the County of San Diego for the last 22 years. And during my tenured years, I have experienced high turnover of staff. Staff retention is a big, big problem in adult behavioral health. I'm a mental health specialist. In comparison to other counties, we are very low pay. And also the staff retention goes out because the pay does not match the workload. We had up to 84 cases per staff. Luckily, it went down. However, the complexity and the liability attached to that complexity is extremely high. We have to be very careful. All of our clients are 100%, all of our clients are conserved. They're on LPS, conservatorship for great disability. So we make critical decisions every single day for these individuals to house them. Where are they gonna be discharged to? And also we wear many hats. We are also PE, representative PEs for Social Security benefits. And the position that we have is not only critical, but also we service not only our clients, but also the general service, this general county, sorry, I'm having a hard time right now, people in the county, basically. And so I'm asking to please be considerate and with no disrespect, of course, and addressing the budget in our program because the need is extremely there. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you all this morning.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Claudette Magno. I'm one of the night shift nurses in George Bailey Detention Facility, which, if not everyone is aware, one of the largest male holding facility here in San Diego County. Now, I would like to put forward, for people who aren't aware, that we are, or if you're already aware, we are already severely short-staffed, both in the nursing, the medical side, mental health side, and also for the sworn side. We have to work together with the sworn staff to cater to our patients because we cannot move without them. And on the contrary to everyone's belief, we don't order them what to do. We have to go by the rules of whatever is going on in the facility. If something is going on, everything stops. Our concern is that since there are so little of us, and there's a mounting work that we have to do, what can you do to help us retain your long-standing nurses? Some of us have been here for 10, 20, over 5 years, but not a lot are staying. What can you do to help us? How can you make them stay, retain your people, and also the work? We, to assure us that we're not gonna be contracted out or privatized, because that's one of the fear of your nurses here in the county. We don't know what's gonna happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to do a final call for Paul Aguirre, Natalia King, and Dominique Rivera. I've called your name. Please come forward. Not seeing any movement in the chambers. Now we'll hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'd remind the callers they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll start with our first caller.
Hi, my name is Kelly Motes, and I'm calling as a concerned citizen and also as a member of the employee of the county. In my short period of time here at the county, I've noticed that retention of good, hardworking employees come and then they go. It's very critical that if you're going to create this budget and implement growth, that you need to start at home first with your employees and the outer services that support the community. Without that, we have a problem. It's very unfortunate that people who work for the County of San Diego are not able to be paid a living wage and to continue living in San Diego if we continue at the rate we're going. I am also a person who is over 55 years old and am concerned that at some point I may become homeless when I am a senior citizen. I beg you to look at your staff. I agree that we do need to hire new employees, but you need to start with who you have. We have people who have been with the county for 25 to 30 years. We also have new employees coming in, and it's not a livable wage. I work 2 jobs, and I'm over 55. It's unfortunate. I do love the community. I love San Diego, and I do love working for the county, but we need help. Please help your staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Dolores Chavez Harms, Chair of the Valley Center Community Planning Group. We have received an overwhelming response in support of the potential addition of the 59 acres to be used as parkland in San Diego County. Butterfield Trails Ranch Park complies 100% with the existing Valley Center Community Plan and received unanimous support from the Valley Center Community Planning Group. Preserving the natural beauty of this site is consistent with the Valley Center's character of rural country living, and additionally, by the county's own admission, Valley Center is underserved for parks given our population and planned continued growth. The addition of Butterfield Trails Ranch Park would not only satisfy the need for more parks in Valley Center, but would also be a benefit for the entire county. Valley Center is growing exponentially with more young families moving into our area. Recently, San Diego Business Journal featured an article on Park Circle, a large development of 700 affordable homes with approximately more than 60% of these homes already completed. So it's imperative that we mitigate this influx of homes and people with open space. The addition of Butterfield Trails Ranch Park would provide walking and hiking trails, riding trail for horses, bird watchers paradise, picnic areas away from traffic and noise, and parks improve our physical and psychological health and help strengthen our communities. Outside funding sources have been identified, and the property owners have generously reduced their requirements. So please include the purchase of Butterfield Trails Ranch in your 2024-25 budget. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Supervisors. This is Madison Coleman with Climate Action Campaign. We thank the county for highlighting sustainability in the proposed budget. These investments are critical for the county to continue to equitably implement climate resiliency policies that create a better quality of life for our communities. More specifically, we are pleased that the proposed budget will allocate $667.1 million to the Land Use and Environmental Group and $3.8 million to the continued development of the Regional Decarbonization Framework. The RDF is a first step to taking a regional approach towards addressing the climate crisis. It is a valuable tool to guide and motivate the region towards scientifically proven and scalable approaches to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We recommend that a percentage of the RDF funding be used to support community-based organizations to continue valuable and equitable RDF outreach and educational efforts in partnership with the county. This RDF outreach and education has and will continue to result in the robust and ongoing community feedback necessary to help move the region towards zero carbon emissions, especially in communities of concern and environmental justice communities such as those in District 1 that have and will continue to feel the worst impacts of the climate crisis. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the proposed budget.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Chair Vargas, supervisors, and staff. My name is Chelsea Walczak-Burke. I'm a San Diego County resident of District 1 and the Senior Community Impact Director at the American Heart Association of San Diego. I'm calling on behalf of a coalition of organizations, businesses, and residents to urge the supervisors to include at least $1 million for produce prescription programming, which has been left out of the proposed budget. Today, nutrition insecurity in San Diego County remains more prevalent than it was pre-pandemic, with nearly 1 in 4 residents unable to access or afford the food that they need to lead a healthy life. Produce prescription programs like Mas Fresco Plus use a food of medicine approach to help the most under-resourced residents access fresh fruit and vegetables. But this program addresses more than just nutrition security. It directly supports local farmers and other small businesses, while also driving progress on our climate action plan by increasing regenerative agricultural practices. Mas Fresco Plus has been successfully improving nutrition security and promoting local economic growth across the county with the original ARPA funding, but urgently needs additional funding to continue to serve the community. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Broken child care market, under which the ability of parents to pay does not equal the true cost of care. Despite the critical role of child care in San Diego economy as a critical piece of infrastructure for working families, public funding does not support access to high-quality care. Investing in high-quality child care and education is a means to address racial inequities, both for families and providers. Investing in child care means more income for families, better outcomes for children, and more inclusive growth. The child care workforce is comprised of a majority of women, most of whom are women of color. Please think back to the amazing women that cared for and educated your own children and the importance those women played in allowing you to return to work and thrive as a family. They deserve competitive wages and benefits. I again urge you to fund the formal evaluation and implementation of the blueprint and funding of local investment to address the broken child care market. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hi, my name is Julie Simper. I'm a 13-year resident of Alpine. I'm here to ask the supervisors to not approve the additional funding for the oversized and misplaced Alpine County Park. This extensive 25-acre design was a surprise to the community when released in 2020. It doesn't reflect what the community wants. Looking at the county's own public outreach data, you'll see that the community is in favor of a smaller local park with more nature-based activities, not a large urban regional park with multiple sports complex amenities, especially not in the location next to Wrights Field Ecological Preserve. Since this process began, thousands of public comments have been submitted, with a strong majority of about 65% expressing concerns or opposition to the design and requesting revisions. And many of those in support don't necessarily like the design, but fear that opposition will result in no park at all. Supervisor Anderson himself expressed this during the latest town hall meeting in Alpine. It's not what the town needs. In defense of the extensive design, we're often told it's being built this large for future growth. Alpine is a rural town of 15,000, and the recent census shows that there has not been any population growth, and the population is aging. You've only got to drive around the neighborhood on a beautiful day to see underutilization of the existing facilities around town. Now the budget has gone from 28 million to 43, which is a huge and unnecessary increase. So we are asking the Board of Supervisors to not approve this additional funding, but use this as an opportunity to stay within the initial budget, scale back the design by opting for one of the nature-based park alternatives as outlined in the DEIR, and please truly listen to your Alpine constituents and use this opportunity to create a local park that will enhance and not overwhelm our backcountry community. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Paul Henkin. I already sent my complete comments. I hope you got them. I didn't see them posted. The lack of a board member representing District 4 is highly problematic. Holy communities, we need more funding to help students with schools which force feed them controversial and wrong theories and scar them mentally, also with post-COVID stuff. We also need more funding, as I said before, for child care as more moms enter the workforce. Housing. A work-based program for the homeless would be excellent. Housing. The board wants to spend $25 million more for affordable housing. Why not start where the real problem is? Homeless housing, and then rent them out as affordable on the basis of need, rather than simply designating them as such. The board wants to spend $2.3 million for homeless services or housing for just certain people. Do you want to end the problem or simply kick the can down the road? It creates feelings of exclusion, separateness, and the whole neighbor versus neighbor thing. Wonder what causes it. Mental health. You want to spend $214,000 for 41 long-term beds? A heck of a lot per bed. Are you serious about solving addiction on the streets? You want to spend $7 million to address opioid addiction, but increased awareness and enforcement seem to be making this problem better already. Do we really still need all this? And climate change. The board wants to spend $3.8 million to continue work on an ambitious regional decarbonization framework.
Thank you. And Chairwoman Vargas, this concludes oral public testimony in the budget today. Again, the board will reconvene on Thursday, June 15th at 5:30 p.m. to receive additional oral public testimony in the budget.
Thank you. All right. So are there any comments from my colleagues?
Yeah, thank you. First, I just really want to thank all the members of the public who came down today. It's incredibly important that we have public participation in our budget process. It is, it means a lot to me and to all of us to have the opportunity to hear that input. I also really want to thank the county team for all the work over the last many months of trying to get a lot done and do it in a way that's really fiscally sound and fiscally responsible, and make our county dollars go as far as they can to serve our community. And I know, Ebony, you in particular have done a huge amount of work, but the whole team, but thank you so much to our fiscal team to really try to get done everything that we've been asking for. And I know that's been very hard, and I think we've done a very good job being fiscally prudent and thoughtful about, making sure that we're managing our county's resources wisely, but also really trying to deliver on the needs of the community. And there are so many needs across the board, and I think we've done a really good job on balancing all of those interests. And I just have to say, I'm really excited about this budget. I think over the last couple of years, we've begun pivoting from sort of an older approach at the county and towards a different framework that really prioritizes equity and sustainability. And I think this budget is a blueprint for that, right? I mean, we have a budget today that centers action, aggressive action on tackling our homelessness crisis, doing something real about rising costs of rents and housing in our community, addressing mental health and substance abuse by expanding behavioral health services and treatment facilities. We all know I'm very personally passionate advocate around the investments we have to continue to ramp up to tackle pollution on our beaches and coastlines and make sure that we are protecting our beaches and our shorelines for our public and our future generations, so we have a place to enjoy and play. And also the work that we're doing on climate in this budget. And there's so much more. So I just want to appreciate the work of everyone who came today to raise your voice, but also really the work of our entire county team. So thank you so much.
All right, seeing no other comments from my colleagues, again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thank you again to the team. And then also thank you to everyone who wasn't here today, but sent us in letters and recommendations of things that we need to look at. And so really appreciate that and all the work that you're doing to meet with not only ourselves, with our staff as well. With that, our meeting is adjourned. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas.
I apologize for having to leave, but I just want to say thank you very much for everybody for coming and speaking, and for the Valley Center folks who spoke about Butterfield Ranch. The budget isn't over yet, so thank you very much.
All right, I got you. All right, so now let me first hand it over to the clerk, and then we're going to go ahead, because he wants us to make sure we share what the community meetings are that are coming up. I don't want to forget that.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Members of the public may still provide written testimony on the budget. To comment online on the budget, please visit the county's website at www.sandiegocounty.gov/budget. Testimony must be in writing and be received no later than the close of the budget hearings, which is Wednesday, June 21st, 2023 at 5 p.m. All materials received will be distributed to the board, the Chief Administrative Officer, the Office of Financial Planning, and placed in the public record. Change letters from board members and the Chief Administrative Officer are also due to my office by the close of the budget hearings on Wednesday, June 21st, 2023 at 5 p.m. Law precludes my office from accepting change letters after that deadline. All change letters received will be distributed to the board, the Chief Administrative Officer, and the Office of Financial Planning shortly after that 5 p.m. deadline. Budget deliberations and adoption are scheduled for Tuesday, June 27th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Subject to any comments, this meeting is adjourned until Thursday, June 15th at 5:30 p.m. for the continuation of the budget hearing.
All right, meeting is adjourned.